Vice President, Business Development and External Affairs at BP India. Mr. Rajeev Kumar.
As we look for partnership, we need to have patience and we need to have trust. We need to trust each other.
It's incredible how clearly you remember the real beginning. And it actually explains a lot about your leadership today.
The scrutiny of the expenses are not so much of scrutiny of the expenses are required. So government has their own challenges. The companies have their own challenges out there.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. I'm your host, Charu Mehra, and today's conversation is about how real power works in business. Not titles, not announcements, but the quiet decisions that shape industries. My guest today has spent over 4 decades in the energy sector, working across field operations, policy, regulation, global partnerships, and board level leadership. Joining me is Mr. Rajeev Kumar, Vice President, Business Development, Strategic Partnership and Communication and External Affairs at BP India, and a whole-time director at BP India. Mr. Rajeev, welcome to the show. It is so great to have you with us today.
Thank you, Charu, for a very kind words. I think appreciation were really very generous. Pleasure to be talking to you and discussing about my career journey. I look forward to sharing my experience and learning through this four decade of service I had.
Wonderful. I'm looking forward to having that conversation with you as well, sir. So, what makes your journey interesting, Mr. Rajiv, is that you've seen the energy business from every altitude, from field engineering to government negotiation rooms, from national oil companies to global majors, and now at a point where decisions affect not just businesses, but energy security and transition itself. So today I want this to be very real conversation about leadership under pressure, partnerships that actually work, and what it takes to stay credible in an industry where stakes are always high. So let's get started. If you look back now, not at designations, but at moments, where do you think this journey really began for you?
So, Charu, for one, I do not believe in designation so much as I believe in the achievement. Ultimately, after your professional career, what you look at, what is more precious to you will be what you achieve rather than where you got to. So, having said that, and coming to your answer, my journey has been comparatively smooth, having worked for 2 decades in the national oil company. And then I moved over to an international oil company in where I will be completing another 2 decades. Uh, uh, yeah. So I think every change, when you change from one job to another job, one role to another job, it's a start of a new journey. So, as you rightly said, I started as a field engineer, moved into a corporate and strategy and planning, then moved into a more business development, M&A, and then today I'm more into a leadership role. So if I have to think about three, four incidents which changed my the journey or took the journey to get upward trend. First one is happened in 2002 when I took over as the chief of staff to a great leader, chairman of a national oil company at that time. That provided me a great learning scope. So because I was looking at an organization holistically. So I was looking at the entire thing of the organization, how the organization thinks, how the organization progresses, its operations, its financials, how do you deal with the stakeholders, how do you deal with the others out there. That taught me quite a lot of things. That was the first major change. And then I started looking at, okay, why not? I should be the CEO of the company. Second change happened when I moved over from a national oil company to an international oil company, which was, it was a big international oil company, but it was trying to establish itself in India. So I was moving from a certainty to uncertainty. So it was another big challenge. And also, I must tell you that it was not for the money. It was more about I wanted to do new things in life because I live one incident. When I was starting, so being a national oil company, being a public sector, we are not so much bothered about salary and all that there. So when we started a salary negotiation with the HR person there, I said very clearly that I'm joining you. Now let's discuss about the salary. So I already given him an indication that you can start with the lower salary for me. So that was a major change, major shift for me. And thirdly, when I entered into international oil company, there were a lot of things I was involved in. And the important thing was to grow the company because company had almost no presence in India.
Mhm.
Grow the company, and which required number of big business deals, which required resolving a lot of legacy issues, lot of reforms, regulatory reforms, and that was again a very challenging. And each steps were a challenge and a turning point for me.
Right.
All that had great amount of learning from me, and that is the reason why I'm here, what I am today. So I think I must say that the journey has been very satisfying for me. I always look for delivering to the best of my ability to the organization. And I must say that if today, if you ask me what 5, 6 big things I have done, I can count, even in my sleep, I can talk about it. So that's big challenges, but I love those challenges, I must say.
Wow. Wonderful, sir. That was such an honest throwback into your life. You brought us right into that phase of your life. And it's incredible how clearly you remember the real beginning. And it actually explains a lot about your leadership today. So, congratulations on that successful journey, sir. And
Thank you.
thank you for sharing that with us. So you've spent a large part of your career building and managing strategic partnership, and that is not an easy kind. When you're looking at potential partnerships today, especially one involving governments, regulators, or national interest, what do you try to understand before anyone talks numbers? What tells you early on whether this relationship will actually work 5 or 10 years down the line?
So, Charu, basically, when I look for a relationship, I don't look from only from my organization point of view. I look from what is there for me or what is there for my organization into it and what is there for the other party. Because unless I understand the perspective for the other side and I'm just focused on my organization, probably that partnership will not work. So partnership need to add value for both of us. It needs to be 1 plus 1 more
Right.
than two. It has to be more than the capability of two partners. That's how I look at the partnership, and this also requires a lot of patience. Dealing with the whether you are dealing with the government, dealing with any strategic partner, and you have to give time. You have to give time to others to absorb. For example, some of the major deals I have taken had taken 3, 4 years time to complete those deals. So because we gave the other side the chance, they also trying to understand us more, and in the process we also built relationship. We have, I'm talking about 2011. We had did a big deal. It lasted for 3, 4 years of negotiation. We have been recently deal we completed in February 2025. That also took. We started in 2023 and finished in 2 years time. But it was win-win for us. There, we were happy with what we are getting. Other side was happy with what they are getting. So that's very important that you understand each other's perspective. Uh, and same is true for the government as well. That when you are dealing with the government, you need to not only talk about what works best for you, you need to understand what the government is wanting to do, what is their perspective,
Right.
uh, why they are saying what they are saying. Because while you are thinking about your profit, your balance sheet, government is definitely thinking about your profit, your balancing, because after all, government is interested in the growth.
Right.
It is the companies organize will bring growth. So they are definitely interested in what you are going to deliver, but they also need to consider the interest of other stakeholders. So that is where the alignment need to come. We need to understand, and I have been involved in number of policy reforms over last 10 to 15 years. And I have seen this has worked. I think we had the major gas sector reforms, which happened in 2016 to 2017. It required a lot of effort. Basically, what we need to align the government, which is the ministry which is looking after this sector, the
Right.
ministry which are the consumers of the sector, the actual consumers and the producers, and we had to make sure that all of them align on this. For example, and that led to our major reforms in 2016, where everybody, all the stakeholders were happy about it. And not only that, that brought in a lot of new gas production into the country, and which
Mhm.
helped the country as well in reducing the imports out there. So,
Absolutely.
so I must say that we need to look at each other's perspective as we look for partnership. We need to have patience, and we need to have trust. We need to trust each other for doing the right thing, because
Right.
without trust, there's no partnership.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was such a grounded perspective, Mr. Kumar. You actually made us see the part of partnership people really talk about. I've always seen people talking about what they are getting out of it, but actually
Yeah,
to think about both the parties. And it actually makes more sense, because if both the parties are getting something out of it, the partnership will work better, and trust will be built, and the result will be exceptional. So it
yeah.
really shows how experience sharpens instinct, and I can clearly see that in your case. So thank you for sharing that insight with us. I'm sure a lot of upcoming leaders in every industry, I can say, will take some learning from this.
Absolutely. I will always tell my people that before you go for any discussion with anybody, always you need to learn, you need to research what is the other side wanting, what
Want.
they uh, what they want and why they want, and then you know what you want, and then you try to have a balanced discussion rather than not going and telling them that I
Right.
want such and such and such thing for me to win business.
Agreed. Wonderful. All right. Thank you so much for that, sir. So, you've also been deeply involved in policy and regulatory negotiations, which is very different scale from commercial negotiation. What do most business leaders misunderstand about dealing with governments? We're talking about governments, it is a continuation of that sort of. What is the biggest mistake companies make when they treat policy engagement as a transactional exercise?
No, so I think as I mentioned in my previous question, in your previous question, is I think company needs to have a holistic approach and not a very transactional
Right,
approach. So we need to we need to recognize that there is mostly alignment between what the government is wanting to do and what the companies uh, want to achieve.
right,
So government provides the enabling environment, and companies within that enabling environment works, manufactures, provides the services, and earn profit in a process. And uh, I must say that I have been seeing, at least in the last 10, 15 years, government has been more progressive. And if you look at, there have been reforms taking place in all the sectors. In my own sector, number of oil and gas sector, number of reforms have taken place. You can look at telecom sector, you can look at power sectors, you can look at textile sector. There have been huge amount of reform, and you can see their growth. Each of these sectors have shown. In
right,
in my own sector, I have seen changes over the last 20 years. What is happening is the government is realizing, come out with the policy. Their These policies never perfect. There are certain loopholes. As a stakeholders, we do go and participate in this discussion with the government. We provide them with our input that what is my challenge, how and why I'm not able to invest. Government is listening, and they gradually make changes. For example, in oil and gas sector, we have the production sharing contract now. Realize that cost recovery and all that is a challenge under the production sharing contract, and there is too much of supervision by the government. The government it has now moved from production sharing contract to revenue sharing contract. And within the revenue sharing contract also, there have been a series of changes over the last 5, 6 years to further improve the ease of doing business. And in the recently, they came out with a new PNGRB rule and they came out with the new ORD Act.
Right.
All of facilitate the investors. So I mean, there is alignment with the government and the companies. We need to only see that it is not only government is much broader, so they will take more time. You
Right.
need the government needs to understand all the they do not have only you as a stakeholder. They have number of stakeholders. They need to interact with each of them, understand their pain point, and address those pain points, and then come with the
Right.
policy.
Right.
The other thing I have observed that as an international investor, I cannot be sitting at the fence and then doing and talking about the policy and what this requires to change, and I will invest. You need to be participants here in the investment in India. If unless you do an investment, I don't think you will have a stronger voice. But once you do investment, I mean, government will listen to you more. I will not say they will not listen to you at all, even if you don't invest. But the government will listen to you more here when you invest in India. I will give you a good example that I was in one of the meeting and there was number of companies in international meeting. There was number of companies. So everybody was making a point that this is the problem, that is the problem. I said, I'm coming out, we are coming out, we are executing this project. So I was asked, that means your company has no problem and you are absolutely happy. I said, I'm not very happy, but I'm happy enough to invest in India.
Yes.
Or we are happy enough to invest in India. So it's the way you look at it, whether the glass is half filled or the glass is half empty.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. That's a great analogy here. And that was an honest take, Mr. Kumar. You've sort of shown the whole human side of policy work. It really makes you rethink how these partnerships actually happen. So thank you for sharing that with our audience. Thank you so much. Today, energy leadership is inseparable from low carbon transition. You work on decarbonization pathways, new energy solutions, and helping customers move toward lower carbon options. So, when you're talking to stakeholders who are focused on cost, timelines, and quarterly performance, how do you make the energy transition feel practical rather than aspirational?
So it's a very interesting question, Charu. Before I mean, taking over with my present role, I used to be the vice president for business development and integration. My uh, role was to basically help the industry in their decarbonization effort.
Oh, wow.
So, so there I did. So initial talks was there was a lot of talk about it. Everybody was very aggressive about their plan, but when they realize that things are not very easy, it is challenging, and it's challenging when you really want to go to a full scale of energy transition because it does impact your balance sheet. And but I think we have as a solution provider we have become more um, knowledgeable or not, we have become more practical, and similarly the others have also become more practical in the approach. So that's it. I think energy transition is not always cost prohibitive. Because if you look at it, if I am moving from uh, almost a very high scale and wanting to bring it down by a significant percentage, I think we have the solutions which are available presently
Right.
are not cost prohibitive, and it's not going to impact your balance sheet. Because look at it, if I the energy efficiency, there is a huge scope to reduce the energy consumption. So I can say that we can easily afford to reduce the energy consumption by 25 to 30% in most of the cases. So there, what are you doing? You are reducing your energy bill. At the same time, you are also reducing the carbon emission. Second thing is if you look at renewable power. So if you are looking to reduce your uh, power consumption and using which is coal based from renewable based power, And if you are looking to reduce it by 20, 30, 35, 40%, that's very competitive, because today
Right.
renewable power is at par with coal-based power.
Mm-hmm.
Only
Mm-hmm.
when you switch over and you want to go for a complete RTC or 100% 24 by 7 low carbon energy, then it's going to hit you. But initial period is not going to hit you. Similarly, if you want to, for the mobility decarbonization, so if you want to move to EV, at least for a uh, two-wheeler or three-wheeler, and even for light vehicle, the EV today is more cost competitive, and in fact cheaper than the uh, petrol or diesel engine.
Yes.
Then similarly, if I'm able to replace some of the diesel engine for mid mile, first mile to mid mile, if I'm able to replace diesel engine with bio CNG, that again bio CNG is in fact cheaper than the diesel.
Okay.
So you are reducing carbon footprint of your mobility, but at the same time, you're also reducing your costs. So it's not impacting your balance sheet. And this, if you follow this tree itself, will help you in reducing your carbon emissions significantly. So these are the easy way. But yes, I do believe that as you move forward, as you want to do more, then it is going to impact you, because then you need to look at not only the electrons, you need to look at the molecules, which is
Right.
and then there you want hydrogen or probably and CCUS. These are not easy to do right now. These are indeed costly, and but having said that, if we have to achieve decarbonization in hard to abate sector, not today, but few years down the line, we have to go for hydrogen and go for CCS, and for which the government need to support, government need to come out with the right incentives, maybe carbon pricing. The companies, the providers need to work more on the technological innovation, and
Right.
as a customer need to pay the green premium for the green product. So all these three things need to happen for achieving the ultimate goal of energy transition. Because and if you look at in India today, we are consuming almost about two, we are emitting almost about 2 gigaton of carbon dioxide equivalent. And if we maintain the status quo, in 30 to 40-year lines, 2 gigaton will go up to 10 to 11, 10 to 12 gigatons. And
Right.
the situation today itself, the weather is changing every day. Look at Delhi, what is happening in Delhi. Look at Mumbai, the rain never stops. So
Right.
said that energy transition is a reality, decarbonization is a reality, and all of us need to work toward this. Having said that, number of steps are being taken. Government, if you look at it, renewable power is growing and growing very fast in India. In fact, last year we did a record 45 to 50 gigawatt of installed capacity out there. Then
Wow.
similarly, the battery prices are coming down significantly. So I'm very optimistic about this energy transition. It will happen. It will take some time, but technology will help to achieve this.
Wow, wow, that's a wonderful thought, sir. And the insight that you gave was really grounded. You made the transition feel real and not just theoretical.
Yep.
It actually makes the whole shift sound achievable. It will take time, but hopefully, uh, it will be a positive change. Mr. Rajiv, quick shift of gears. First thing
Yes.
that comes to mind, I'm going to ask you questions, and I don't want you to think, just be as candid as possible.
Yeah.
All right. First one. One thing you've become much more patient about.
Outcome.
Outcome. That's
Yeah.
a nice one. All right. One habit you're proud of and one you're still working on.
So it's the answer is one only. That is patience. So I have a lot of patience when I am doing a business deal, business development. And I have no patience when I am traveling. So when I am traveling, I get stuck in the traffic jam. I really get irritated. So I am working on that.
That's a good one. Okay, next one. What's your idea of really good break? Mountains, beaches, cities, or staying indoors?
So only if I can do that. I will love to stay indoor, but that's not possible. Because if there is a break, I normally go to beaches or some hill stations. So both, but I mean, if
Depends on what you're feeling at
given to me only, I would like to stay back at home.
Okay, next one. A food combination you love that others find strange.
So I'm very foodie. I like all delicious food. So any good food, whether it is the Indian, the Chinese, the Japanese, the South Indian, if food is good, I love it. I'm not choosy about it,
You're
but
not
needs
choosing
to be tasty.
anything specific that is weird to others but not to you. Like, I'll give you an example. I like drinking my Thumbs Up or my Coca-Cola with peanuts in it. Something like that,
Okay, so so
something
so
weird like
so
that.
so I take my coffee and I can't take coffee without sugar.
Ah,
With sugar. No, I can't take coffee with sugar.
with
So
sugar.
if it's given with sugar, I can't drink coffee.
You can't drink
But
coffee.
I can't take my coffee without a cookies or a muffin with me.
Ah, that's really strange. That's a good one. Okay, next one. One movie you'll stop scrolling for no matter where it's playing.
So I will say two movies. One is Sully, which is based on the Hudson River incident. So I love that movie and I can watch it again and again. And
Yes.
another one is my favorite Sholay, which I
Ah,
saw in my childhood. I can
classic.
still watch it a number of times.
Good one. I really like Sully as well. Okay, next one. Fitness for you is about discipline or enjoyment.
I think it's more about refreshing myself. So I do go to gym or go for my walk early in the morning every day. I try to do it without fail. Well, I find this refreshes me uh, for the day. So you can say this is both discipline as well as enjoyment.
As well as enjoyment. It's like a serotonin boost for you to
Yes,
start your day off.
right.
Wonderful. Okay, next one. What's one thing that instantly drains your energy?
Only one thing, that's corporate politics.
Ah,
I hate that politics.
yes. Been there, seen that.
Yeah.
Okay, next one is what's one thing that instantly recharges it?
Coffee at 11 a.m. If I
Ah,
don't have coffee at 11 a.m., I will be irritated. And that
okay.
is must for me.
Oh, all right.
And that also signals whether I'm well or not. So if I am not feeling like having coffee at 11, that indicates to me that something is wrong in my system.
Ah, okay, all right. Okay. Next one. If you could relive one ordinary day from past, what kind of day will it be?
So this is a sentimental one. I must say you that I didn't tell you that I was diagnosed with cancer about 2 years back,
Oh my.
and that too with pancreatic cancer. So that is particular day which I will like to be erased from my life.
Oh my God. I hope you're doing okay now, sir.
Yes, I did well, and in fact, after that, I did a major deal in 2025, and probably my photographs were all over India for doing that deal.
Oh
So
wow,
I
sir.
always, I'm happy to talk to those patients, people who are suffering from cancer. I said, you focus on the work that time also. That gives you a lot of energy, and that keeps
But
you
you
away
know,
from thinking about the disease.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, it distracts your mind from that
yeah.
thing. Wow, kudos to you, sir. All right, next one. I have one last one for you. These days, what feels like real success for you?
It's more about success of the team and probably leaving the legacy. So what is happening is any big deal I do, that creates opportunity for people, both opportunity for people to grow and also for new people to get into the job. So I mean,
Wow.
growth and success of the team is something which is exciting at this stage of my career.
Wow, that was wonderful, sir. And I really like doing this round because you get to know the person behind the professional. So thank you for being so candid and so honest with us.
Thank you, Charu.
So, Mr. Rajiv, the energy industry has seen its share of controversies over the years, from inflated reserve estimates and overly optimistic production forecast to aggressive cost recovery claims, and even large projects that look perfectly viable on paper but later collapsed when the underlying assumptions were tested in the real world. Looking at this from an industry perspective, not at individual companies, what kind of practices do you think have caused the great erosion of trust in the energy sector, and why do you think those patterns keep repeating?
So, Charu, this is a very difficult question for me because I mean we have been in midst of it in the past. So I will not like to get more detailed into the specifics out there because you talked about cost recovery, you talked about reserves. Because these are all question of interpretation from the two sides for this. I will not get into there, but I say that this has happened, and this has happened more in the past, and this and more because of lack of understanding, and because of lack of understanding, lack of trust as well. And
Absolutely.
also, if you look at it, the India privatization in India started in 1991, and but it started full scale only in the later part of or early part of 2000. So they were, and most of these are everything was very new. So these two sides were not trusting each other, and
Yes.
also, I mean, there were the there was a lot of misunderstanding about each other that time, and that is why this resulted. Because, for example, if you talk about cost recovery, and people, this is how it is a confused word, because cost recovery happens. Suppose uh, it's my share is 80% and the government share is 20% out there. So
Mm-hmm.
the expenses is 100 rupees. 80 will go from the companies and 20 will go from the government. Right. Now, why will company unnecessarily incur 100 rupees just because 20 is paid by the government, because 80 rupees is paid by the company itself? So I said there is a lot of misunderstanding, but I think as I mentioned in my previous response also, there has been learning from both by
Yes.
the industry as well as by the government, and government based on this learning has been changing the policy. For example, I told you that things have changed from production sharing contract to revenue sharing contract. What was happening in production sharing contract? There was a lot of work program and budget was being approved by the government. Government has its share in the expenses. Now, when we move from production sharing contract to revenue sharing contract, then government doesn't is not participating in the expenses. So
Right.
that scrutiny of the expenses are not so much of scrutiny of the expenses are required. So government has their own challenges. The companies have their own challenges out there. So that's the reason was for TIF. But I think we I must mention that the companies are both companies and the government interest is aligned.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly, I'm talking about oil and gas sector, because if the company produces more oil and gas, it's going to benefit everybody. It's going to
Right.
benefit the company for sure. It is going to benefit the government because it will reduce its import bill, and accordingly will reduce the trade deficit. And it is good for the consumer because local they will have things available locally. So
Right.
this is a win-win for everybody. Similarly, in other sectors also, we have seen telecom sector. All the sectors, if you look at it, has gone through its own reputation.
Absolutely.
In the past, you would have heard about coal scam, telecom scam, and all the other scams. But things have improved. If you see in the last 10, 15 years, and this is more because of the learning and learning to work together.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
No.
that has been improving things. So I take it as very positively that, and I have been participating into this. So I have been sufferer and participant in this as well. I know it well.
Right, and I understand you were talking about, when we were talking about the questions where how do relationships get built, and you said
Yeah,
that both the parties should have invested interest in the
yeah,
outcome. So I get
yeah.
it. It actually plays an important role, and what you said was so candid. You
Right.
it sort of brings out the human side of those big industry headlines because it was just miscommunication and some lot misunderstanding and some loss of trust that actually resulted in that
So,
happening.
so yeah, so I will add one more point into this. In the lot of companies have that illusion that if you go to the top and if you tell the top, things will be done. So in India is a country where you need to align everybody
Yes.
in this system because so everybody needs to be convinced out there that this is the right thing to do.
Right, right, right. And I agree that. And it also helps us to understand why trust is so fragile in this space. And you need to make sure that that is kept, strong and it's developed.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you for that, Mr. Rajiv. Mr. Rajiv, after more than 4 decades in the energy sector, you've already operated at very senior levels across policy, partnerships, and board-facing roles. So I'm curious, what motivated you to join Directors Institute at this stage of your journey?
So, Charu, I will be very candid that having spent now more than 4 decades in the industry, and if I want to have much a slightly lighter role because I have been last 15 years has been or last 20 years have been very challenging,
Hmm.
chasing various business deals, chasing various margin acquisition deals, and so now and uh, leaving some legacy for people here. But
Coming
now
directly.
I want to do a more relaxed role because one doesn't know how many years you're going to live. Are you going to live for 5 years, 10 years, 15 years,
Right.
further? I mean, it's 80, 85. So I want to move into a role where I do only advise, that advising as well as more into the independent director, helping whatever I have gained in the last 40 to 45 years time, giving that back to the industry. So I'm looking for more for that. And also I must tell you that this is also about learning. I have been in the company, a director for BP India for almost now 5 years. But I tell you, I have completed some of the courses and still have, I see still there's a lot to learn from all this. I still do not know a lot of stuff. So there is a
Definitely.
great amount of learning also going through this, as well as I want prepare myself to be independent director. One of some of my colleagues suggested me that Rajiv, why don't you do this independent director course from Institute of Directors, and that's the reason I'm here. So I've been
Wow.
very candid, Charu, for this.
No, no, that was really inspiring, sir. After having such a huge and extensive career, you're still looking to, enhance your skills and gain more skills, and that is really inspiring. And what is such a thoughtful reflection. It shows how intentional this next chapter is for you. And hearing you talk about that brings a lot of depth to why this step matters. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I really wish you all the best for your upcoming endeavors, sir. It was really inspiring talking to you today.
No, thank you, Chari. It was great interacting with you.
Thank you so much, sir. So, Mr. Rajiv, this has been a really engaging conversation. You've shared not just the highlights of your long career, but the thinking behind the decisions, the patience, the judgment, and the responsibility that comes with working in an industry where the stakes are always high. Thank you for being so open with your perspectives.
Thank you, Chari. Great interacting with you.
Great. And to everyone listening, if there's one thing this conversation reminds of is that strong leadership isn't just about growth or ambition. It's about credibility, consistency, and the ability to think long term, even when the pressure is immediate. I'm Charu Mehra, and this has been FaceTime with Leaders, powered by Directors Institute World Council of Directors. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you.